Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I'm moving that thing next week.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
They have a defensive basement. That's all or nothing.
Yeah, no.
Right out of the gate.
Yep. Should I have a motion to open the town board meeting, December 12th?
So moved.
Second?
I have Doug and Phil.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
I think Doug should have everything.
Yeah,
Start with it.
yeah, you can do that.
I have a motion to open the public hearing for introductory law number 13 entitled Local Law to Amend the Goshen Town Code, Chapter 97, Short-Term Rentals, to require owners of short-term rentals to obtain a short-term rental permit and to amend the Town of Goshen zoning law in order to adequately regulate the short-term rentals.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just so you know, we did receive back the 239 referral from the county. They found no evidence that significant intermunicipal or county-wide impacts would result from this approval. I also want to say before I open it to the public that this meeting will be held over because we have not received everything from the planning board, and I just received the ERB information yesterday. So at this point,
Can I just give a brief
Sure.
update? I know that for the most part, the folks that are here tonight were here when we rolled this out. This is going to remain open even if the planning board information had come through because it's pretty extensive. It's a new law, it's not an add-on or an amendment. It's a whole new section in here. And as we've talked, I want to get it right. Obviously, I don't want to hold it up by being too overly restrained here, but there's good feedback from all different groups. Tonight, I want to hear additional feedback. I intend to put out another draft to the public prior to the next open date, which would be the second meeting in January. And I'm going a little out of turn here. I want to inform everybody of that so you know it, so that it doesn't feel like this is a be-all or end-all tonight. So I'm going to listen. I don't have a ton of feedback to get back out, but I want to just hear so we can incorporate that. So thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
anyone from the public like to speak on it?
Eventually, but I don't want to.
Whoever,
Should I start?
got to come up to the mic.
Sure. Unfortunately, I live next to an Airbnb on Somerville Road.
Name.
George, Dr. Veit, George Veit, 5 Somerville Road, Goshen.
Thank you, George.
And I love my house, I love my place, I retired here for a reason, but not to have an Airbnb. A business, not a residence. I think, next to me, I've had many a problem with dealing with the Airbnb, anything from terrible garbage, soiled diapers left out in the summer, all that crap. And the owner told me initially when I met him, here's my number, just call me and I'll be over there like the Flash, which I know now. And I said, I don't want your number. I was right there. Because eventually when I tried to contact over the latest thing where my vacuum cleaner disappeared, and they had it in there, and I went to the police about this, they had it in their house, and then the host, the super host, took it to her house because she couldn't figure out whose it is. So when I said, well, I want my vacuum back, if that's, so I said, well, it's a shame because I'm in Wyoming. I said, well, oh, maybe I can get my assistant, but it'll have to drop everything. I got a violin out for that one. So it came over, and then the box was basically destroyed. Took it back to Kohl's. They were very good at replacing it. Thank you, Kohl's. But then I also saw another box there, and it looked like it had been opened because there was glue under the tape. I said, you know, I'm going to call the police because if I open this, I don't want to be accused of any stuff from the Airbnb owner and superhost. So they were very nice. The police chief opened it up and said, boy, that smells. Anyway, opened it up and there was some kind of coffee brewing machine completely broken up. And on the side of it was 7 Somerville Road, which is the Airbnb. I got the address right. And a name, I can get it for you if you need it. The cops have it. Ian something. And I sent, it was next to the vacuum. And so I tried to call the superhost, and I tried to call the owners and talk to him. What they did is they blocked my number. So they don't, one of the things is the awful response rate to issues that some Airbnbs evidently have, at least the one I know. So I have to check with the police because they wanted to look into, well, who's this other person, what's going on here, that type of thing. So I'll check with them and see what happened. He said, do you want to press charges? I said, quite frankly, not now. I just want, okay, sorry. To me, one of the best things that could be enacted, and I think this would directly apply to some of the problems we've dealt with them, with the renters and with the owner, is, I know other places have done this, is that the rule is that, or one of some places, that the owner has to be present when the guests are there. I don't care who the owner is, I don't care their creed or whatever, but the owner has to be there. Because if the owner's there, they can clean up all the garbage. I would if I was the owner. I mean, you know, they would clean up the garbage. They would not allow pool parties at 2 in the morning, screaming. And he told the policeman investigating, we forgot what time it was. You forgot what time it was, but I did, and my family. And I don't want to go and confront these people. There's usually drinking involved. Nothing, I like to have a beer too. But I'm not saying they were drunk or drinking, but I don't want to approach them. I don't know who these people are. When their business is slow, but there's always different people coming in. We had 7 cars the other day, and I told a few people, minor thing, maybe, building code, to call the basement a bedroom, which they do. You need a window. No windows there. But that's a minor thing, I guess. But I'm trying to, when I called the county board of health about this place and the dirty diapers sitting out in the sun for a week, we can't go into a residence. And I said, well, it's not a residence, in my humble opinion. It's a business. And so that didn't work either. I think nobody would like having new people there all the time. You know, would you? Who would like that? I don't think anybody would feel safe with that. I don't know who's renting that. You know, I don't know what they're doing in there. You know, once I got called out walking the dog at night from the group. Hey, what are you doing there? I didn't answer. I walked by our cars. I wasn't by a car. I'm on my property. They don't respect that. Maybe if the owners had to be there when they were there, they'd respect it. So I think that would help cure or mitigate, not cure, mitigate a lot of the crap that, pardon my language, that they get away with. And I understand the kids that go there, they want to have fun. Okay, but follow the rules and have somebody there, the owner, to enforce it. I think that's, to me, fundamental. That's the big, one of the major things I think going on there is that. So I have yet to hear from the people about why they deliver those things and why they had my vacuum, my new vacuum, and all that stuff. I just said in my last email, which they never answered and they closed me out, just read the labels. You know, wouldn't you read the label if you couldn't figure out whose vacuum, new vacuum from Kohl's, it's only a vacuum, but is on the door, and you can't figure it out. Really, I think most people can figure that out. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't like it. None of my family likes it. and what I'm not getting to, and I know none of this is easy, I know, because it's so new, and I know this one won't be easy at all. But if you have a business, not a residence, in a zone, which I am, that only allows houses and residences, not businesses, and they're running it, I hope there's something that can be done about that, you know, and I joke, we'll have a Dunkin' Donuts next door, it's the slippery slope. I mean, really, it's a new thing, I know that. The original owner didn't buy it then, but it's not the original owner. The Airbnb guy is the owner now, or I was told by the new superhost that there's a group of them together that maybe they share expenses, I don't know, I don't know. But I can't communicate with them. I think that's a big deal to consider. They have to communicate, and again, I think something that will help a lot of things would be if the owner lives there when the guests are there. They don't have to live there all the time, and they never do. They're never there, and that's fine. But when you have guests, I think the owner should be there, and I think that will control things. It won't be perfect, but that's one of the main things I think could help if it could be done. And I know maybe, well, I bought he bought his house. There were no Airbnb rules a few years ago, I guess. But it was a business, not a residence that he set up. So I hope something can be done with that. You guys are the brains, not me, for all this stuff. And I know it's difficult, and I know it's a whole new thing, and the lawyers have been great trying to get this under control, and I know it's not easy for you. I could understand that. Do you have any questions of me going, because I have them next door. I'm lucky enough to get the ones that really, I hear there's some nice B&B people out there, Airbnb.
What's a superhost, or who's the superhost?
Superhost used to be Super Ricky, and when I spoke to the new Superhost, it's a young lady, and I just can't remember.
It's a label that's given to an Airbnb proprietor that has enough reviews or enough, feedback.
Okay.
George,
I forget her name. I'm sorry.
I'll incorporate it, I'll make sure you get the new draft. I've tried to be open to you as much as possible, and
But that's one of my concerns.
Continue to call us from your problems. We reacted, when the garbage was all over, we reacted,
I know, you
fined him
guys-
$1,200,
you
he
guys are
paid
great.
it, but we fined him $1,200.
You're trying to help.
That's
I
what,
know.
all we can do is hit him in his pocket right now.
I get it, but if we could put something in there about,
it's,
you gotta be there when your things are
We'll look
there.
at that.
I think that'll help a heck of a
Need to move
lot.
along, because we have other people.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I took too much time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I don't mean to sound like
No,
It's okay.
but
we hear your
it's
frustration.
not, it's not a nice thing.
But you're living it.
Yep.
I'm living it, yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
And appreciate the lawyers and you guys working.
Yeah, just a reminder, it's not that anybody's voice shouldn't be heard, but 5 minutes.
5
sorry.
minutes, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to say,
But
that was my fault.
and particularly in this, the public hearing's open, the feedback can continue to me or to the board, so, anyway.
Thank you.
Chris?
Thank you, Chris Healy, Town of Goshen. I'll try to be quick, Mr. Brady, and Ms. Rizzo.
You don't have to be
I will
quick,
email
just.
I'll email my comments to you tomorrow morning.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Got this done as quick as I could with one finger. Introductory Law 13 of 2024. I hope that you guys have read the law, you have it in front of you. I have a few comments as we go through. Page 1, at the bottom of the page, section, or part 91.7 under definitions, it says short-term rental. And the last sentence says, this may include campgrounds, tent sites, tent platforms, and other temporary structures on the parcel. And my question is, do these tents and structures need to be dismantled and erected every 31 days? Or can the tents stay up and just change the renters? I don't even want to see my neighbors leave their garbage cans out for 4 days after the garbage is picked up. I sure don't want to live in a Hooverville shantytown ghetto. Anybody that doesn't know what that is, crack a book. Page 2, part 97.2, paragraph A, sub 3. This one hurt my brain. Motor vehicles on the premises that is not occupied by an owner. And I think, Mr. Brady, what we mean to say is, if the Vehicle is in the driveway and is not owned by the person that owns the house. I know it's wordy, but it's a lot easier than this. My question here is, what constitutes occupied by owner? That is to say, how often and how many consecutive days does the owner actually have to be in the home to can be considered occupied? Page 3, top of the page, paragraph A, it says that you get a rental permit if it's accompanied by a payment of a non-refundable permit fee. Annual cost, is it annual? Is it a one-time fee? How much is it? I think there's a lot of information missing there. On the same page, again, paragraph A, sub 6, this one takes a little time. The accurate
I'm sorry, Chris.
Go ahead.
I know you're trying to get it all in there.
Sorry.
Where'd you go next? I didn't.
I'm on page 3,
Yep.
paragraph A, sub 6. And it says that an accurate, suitable floor plan for each level has to be drawn to scale and certified by the applicant, and that the floor plan does not need to be prepared by a professional. Now, I go on to read the rest of that paragraph, and parts A through E all look like things that would be very useful to emergency services or an engineer. And you're expecting the applicant to be honest when they have every incentive to lie. You need so many windows per room, you need exits per room, etc. And if they don't have that, well, I just forgot to put it on the map. And I think that if a map is not accurate, it's absolutely useless. You must require an independent certified surveyor or architect to provide the floor plans. More expensive for the applicant? Yes. They want to run a business, I don't. They think it's the very least we can do is be accurate with a map. Going on to page 4, paragraph C, it says, owners wishing to apply for a variance relating to sleeping capacity, parking capacity, or other standards. These standards are safety issues. When you put a hotel in, you get so many rooms per floor, and for every room you have to have an exit within so many feet. You only have so many people occupancy per room. And this is all about, in the case of an emergency, how quickly can we evacuate this building? Absolutely no compromise to safety and no variances whatsoever to the number of occupants. It's also a quality of life issue. I built a home in a residential neighborhood. I didn't build one next to a hotel.
Yeah.
Moving on to page 5, subparagraph 9, it says the property must have a minimum of 1 off-road parking space for every bedroom shown on the floor plan. And is that the floor plan that does not have to be done by an independent agent? Again, you're asking the applicant to draw you their own ticket. The next paragraph is sub 10, and it says that the maximum occupancy of a short-term rental unit shall not exceed 12 people. You know, 12 people in a residential home for the holidays is a great family memory, right? If those 12 people are paying to be there, that's a hotel.
Yep.
Too many people. You want a number? 6. I'd be happy with 6. 12 is ridiculous. On the same page, page 5, sub 15, it says, and I don't know why this caught me, but it can have one sign not internally lighted. Can it be externally lighted? I just think, you know, if we're going to be accurate, let's get accurate. Page 6, the next page. It's paragraph D, sub 3, sub B. It says the guests are requested to observe quiet hours from 11 p.m. 11 p.m. No one who parties until 11 p.m. knows how to turn the music off at 11 p.m. That party's just getting started.
Yeah.
Many of Goshen residents, voters, and taxpayers start their morning commute at sunrise. 11 p.m., in my opinion, is unreasonable. You want a number? 8 p.m. After that, your barbecue's over, go inside. The next page is page 7, paragraph B.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So did that coincide with our noise
No.
ordinance?
Yeah.
Are you asking me or?
I'm asking. Yeah.
This section, right now I was waiting for feedback from the planning board, so as far as it aligning with that directly, it wouldn't supersede it, it would be specific to those designated as Airbnbs, so it can be more restrictive than the town code.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Okay, so you could make it 8 o'clock, it's not my opinion of whether that's good or bad,
Yep,
you
I
could
got
make
you.
it that.
No problem.
On page 7, paragraph B, it says once you get the application permit, that the adjacent property owners of the short-term rental will be notified by postcard or email. So adjacent is just the people left, right, front, back. What about the rest of the neighborhood? And more importantly, do any of those neighbors have a say as to whether or not they're going to get a short-term Airbnb in their neighborhood? The next paragraph C says that the code enforcement officer gets 30 days to conduct a property inspection, and I want to make sure that that property inspection is being paid for in that fee that we don't have yet, but I certainly don't think that my taxpayer dollars should be paid for somebody else setting up a business. The rest of the code goes on about compliance and fines and such. So, to summarize, do we have a problem with current homeowners using their property as Airbnbs? And are you worried about this problem becoming worse as more people get into the business? Because if that's the case, I have a law that can take care of both of those problems. A new law that says, no short-term rentals in Goshen, New York. At the end of that sentence, you put a period. Lewiston, New York did it. North Hempstead, New York did it. New York City is making it so restrictive that it's virtually impossible to get a short-term rental. Saratoga Springs, going to Dr. Vick's point, only allows owner-occupied short-term rentals. Why are we inviting a practice that will cause strife for our neighbors in our neighborhoods? It puts weight on our police force as they respond to complaints. It's going to make more work for our buildings department and code enforcement personnel. And there's no win here. And let's be clear, no one who owns a home in a residential neighborhood has ever said, you know, things have gotten better since my neighbors turned their home into an Airbnb. That has never been said. I asked the board to make a U-turn here. I want a 180-degree U-turn and ban all short-term rentals outright. This law is aspirin for the headache. Let's just not have the headache. My name is Chris Healy. Dina DeRose is with me tonight, my wife, my assistant. You guys know how to get me.
Can you send me a copy of that?
I will. I'm going to send it to Mary, and she'll disseminate Mary
thanks.
to the board and to Mr. Brady. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. I agree.
Anybody else would like to speak?
I'll make this real quick. Is there any type of zoning rule that delineates the distance a business has to be away from a residence? Because that would help too. If I don't know if there's a number or whatever.
Sean, do we have anything like that in plan?
No, there's nothing specific, but keep in mind that if you were to consider that, you should define businesses. I don't think you want to get into a case where perhaps you have somebody who has a home business, perhaps an accountant or something like
Right.
that, where they're in a neighborhood, it's just a sole proprietor, and then you cause them problems.
Could we just specify Airbnb and not say in general?
I think you probably could do that, but you should look at whether that would cause some litigation.
Yeah, I got you.
Sometimes it's gotta be litigated.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm Tom Howard, 6 Buckwood. We kind of stopped at page 8, and that's where I wanted to start. If we don't outlaw the short-term rentals altogether, which is the most elegant way to do this, we need to address the compliance and penalties, because in my opinion, these are not enforceable. The entity, the method involves the building inspector, who's got lots of other things to do besides checking up on the Airbnbs, or even if it's just one and there are repeated violations there. And then the solutions are fines, which are questionably collectible if the Airbnb owners or operators choose to ignore them. And revoking a permit, again, can be violated, and you still have people there that shouldn't be there. If this could be revised such that the police were responsible for enforcing it, I think it would speed it up and make it more workable. But I think this whole section needs to be reviewed for enforceability, or the whole thing is not worth doing.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Neil?
Neil Halloran, resident of town of Goshen. I think that many of my comments were included in the ERB minutes, and I apologize for that. I sent it on to Kelly a while back, and I thought it was gonna come around that way, and I would have sent it to you.
It made it around, I appreciate it, Neil.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And in which case, I also had sent something to Kelly today because I didn't know where else to send it. I kind of submitted additional comments.
Yep.
So I don't want to go through those particularly right away. We can cover those more, but I think there's just a lot of open spaces here. Obviously, I think, and I certainly thought before, that we currently allow short-term rentals in some of the zones, and that's basically the commercial zones, where we allow hotels and motels. Those are certainly short-term rentals. We also allow some businesses in the other zones if they're on state or county roads. So I think if we look at that, we currently allow that to some degree. We just aren't regulating it and restricting it to there. And I think we possibly could. One of the other issues that I keep hearing about is parking, and I certainly know that in the past the police have refused to enforce it. In our town, we don't allow anybody to park on town roads. It's in our code. Nobody knows it, including residents, and certainly nobody visiting here knows that. So consequently, the police have never enforced that, and I agree with them, really. However, when I spoke to the chief the other day, he said they wouldn't enforce that if in fact there were signs put out. If we're gonna have bed and breakfast or one of these things anywhere, why don't we make them put signs out? If we're gonna have it there, make them put the signs out in front of their house, in front of their neighbors' houses, and on both sides of the street. I don't like the idea of even having them there, but if we're gonna have that, then let's make them do that and be responsible for that. And then the police could enforce it, and I think they would. And certainly, when I spoke to the chief, he said they would enforce that if that was there. So I think that's a possibility. I have a bunch of other, one of the other things about the fines and the fines being too low. I think New York City now makes the minimum fine is $7,000. There was a case or a class I took a long time ago where it said that it was actually done in Albany, whereby if there was a violation of improper use of the property, you could actually go in and go to court and take all the money they made off of that use. Okay, I think it's a criminal process or whatever, but nevertheless, I think it can be done. I'm not particularly for it, but at least $7,000. Now, let's say that they had to put $7,000 up in a bond or an escrow. It's at least possible, maybe, and I don't know, this is a legal thing beyond, like, why can't we take the fines out of there? Or why can't we, all right, you have garbage on the street, we'll get it done if you can't do it right away, and we'll charge you for it, and then at the end of the year, you have to replenish it.
That's what we do. We've done that.
But in November, if you don't replenish it, we'll put it on your taxes and you'll owe it on the taxes. We do that for demolitions, we do that for cleanups. If we do it with this, then we can take the money right away and get it cleaned up and then say, hey, you have to replenish it, and you don't replenish it, and we can take it that way. Power to it, I think. Just one more twist to it. I think that having a bond of a certain amount, and I think it's expressed here, the closer people are to our community, the closer they are to be able to respond, and the more they're going to care about us. So I don't know, I've never heard of this, and consequently, but look, if you live in town of Goshen and you have another house and you're doing this, maybe the bond's $5,000. If you one county out or something like that, maybe it's $10,000 because you're not going to care as much. If you live in the city or you live down in New Jersey, you don't really care about us at all, and you're just doing this for money. In which case, let's have more of a bond because we're going to have more issues. The other thing is when we talk about having owners' contact information, I think we need to have every owner of the property, everyone included, and we should have all their contact information so we can contact them all the time. And I think that, like you have to do in a hotel or a motel when you go in there, you check in and they want to know your license plate on your car. I don't know why we can't insist that the renter had to provide that right away to the host, and then the host should be providing that to us. They can provide that directly to the police ahead of time, and they can provide that to the building department. So if we have to chase down somebody for something, we know who to contact and where to contact or whatever. I think there are ways to possibly mitigate some of these negative impacts. Some of the comments going, Chris said tonight was certainly there. I think that I had a question really, Roy, as to what constitutes proper notice for violations. In the past, I recall that I had to serve people personally. I had people served personally for zoning code violations. That doesn't sound terrible. If they live in the county, you can chase them down. But we are restricted, in that case, we are restricted to serving them personally only if they live in the county or any adjacent county. I could not go down to New Jersey and serve them personally. I could not go to New York City to serve them. Anywhere within the county
Yeah.
or adjacent counties is the only way you can serve them.
Maybe a
personally.
designation of service in the application process,
Okay.
that would satisfy that, because you're
Okay.
right, I know that would be a problem,
So we
especially with
figured it out.
imprisonment
Great.
on the line, they're gonna have to have, I agree with you, Neil.
Okay, and then the other concern I have is that one of the other problems we've had in the past, or I've had in the past, is that if this is a criminal act, we have different criteria or different standards than if it's a civil act or a civil case. In a criminal case, you cannot find, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know that at that point in time when I had somebody in court, they had to be in court. So what happened is halfway through the court hearing, this gentleman decides to leave the court and just walked out of the building while we're still there. We're still presenting evidence, and the judge found him guilty. Ends up that our attorney representing the town ZBA, not my enforcement office, said that we can't do that because he wasn't present. And he therefore didn't have the right to cross-examine or anything else. So that was thrown out, we had to get him back in. I think some of you from the past know the gentleman, he's from the Black Dirt area. We had a number of problems with him, but anyhow, one of the big problems with criminals is that they have to be there in court. I think possibly if it's civil, you can be tried in absentia or whatever, and therefore.
I'll look into it, Neil, I mean, I have my thoughts, I know that we're testing out the compliance to a certain extent right now with the other matter, we'll see, you know.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's possible, just, it's a thought.
Oh,
Okay.
I appreciate all the feedback, I don't expect.
Actually, I really don't like the idea of short-term rentals for the most part. If we're gonna have them in the area, I think where we already allow them, I think would make some sense. Do state and county roads protect me personally? No. I happen to live on state and county roads, so it's not as though I'm just trying to push it away from my house. Thank you very much, and I'll send those, did you get those comments I had to Kelly today?
I didn't get today's.
Okay, I will send it today.
Kelly is doing a report for us, so she'll incorporate your.
Okay, I'll send it to Mary anyhow, and Mary will pass it on to the town board and you.
Thanks, Neil, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Chris, if I get this, what were those two towns that shot it down?
North Hempstead, New York, Lewiston, New York.
Cornwall did it too.
I didn't find out.
Crawford also turned it down.
Crawford,
I was told that yesterday by the chief.
North Hempstead, and
Lewiston,
Lewiston.
Saratoga Springs has.
Yep. I know about Saratoga Springs. Thank you. Anybody else?
Another quick one, I'm sorry, but maybe there are other cases, but in the Times, I read an article that the Airbnb and some other folks were suing New York City. And the Chief Justice of New York City, was a lady, I forget her name, she's passed away by now, she threw the case out. And basically she said that, if I may paraphrase her, that, you know, anything we do in life, there are rules, regulations, this type of thing to follow, including in businesses. So, you know, don't cry for me. That's the way life is. Case dismissed.
Understood.
I don't know what else
George,
is
if
happening.
you find it, send it along to me, all right?
Oh, I'll look for it again,
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
She's passed on. I'll look for it.
Would anyone else like to speak?
Just
Yeah.
real fast, well, if we get to the point of talking about campgrounds and that kind of thing, I think we need to really talk about standards. I think somebody else said something about setbacks or whatever. I think we have to have something like that, because if you start setting up tents in backyards,
I'm interested to get the planning board's feedback when it comes to things of that nature. I try to allow them to.
We haven't gotten that yet.
Yeah, and I tried
matter is
to
they
set
have-
up,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Neil, you go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. The truth of the matter is the planning board hasn't discussed it at all.
Well, that's,
Well, yeah, it was
listen,
adjourned to the 19th, that's why we
Yeah.
postponed.
No, I agree, and what they did was they kicked it off through to Kelly. Kelly, please write this up for us and take our comments. And there's been no discussion at the planning board level at all yet.
well, they're gonna hear this, you know, the feedback here, and a decent amount of it is related to the zoning portions, and I didn't wanna, I don't wanna say overstep, but I mean, they're there for the reason they're there for, right? So, I anticipate that will alleviate some issues. Mr. Rometta is handling compliance, and I think I'll incorporate Mr. Howe's comments and some other comments, and then I'll get you guys another draft, or at least some thoughts to that, all right?
If no one else wants to speak, I want to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go.
please.
So I made a number of comments. Some are overlapping with Chris's and the doctor's and Neil's. I guess we're all on pretty much the same page. The first thing I would say is My plan A would be no short-term rentals. And I know we would have a problem legally, but I would say in the RU district, in any residential district. They can be in commercial districts, they can be in hotels and so on. But that would be my first order of business. And I'm not sure how legally, if we could fight this or not fight this, or how much we would be held, but I'll tell you something, I would go at it because it is detrimental to the community. And my job is to make sure we safeguard the communities in Goshen. So that's where I'm coming from. And I mean, big time. Now, if we had to get down into the weeds, because legally we would have a real unsurmountable problem, then I agree. The first, we go in order, the first thing on my list would be to make sure that there is an owner that is on the premises. On the premises anytime that it's rented out. So, without exception. The second thing I noted, and we talked about variances, the whole variance portion needs to be taken out. This is not a subdivision. This is not someone that's building a house that the lot is 8% too small, so he needs a variance, or a side yard, or a front distance side yard lot. This is a law that, I mean, this is an established residence. There's no variance. There's no need for a variance. Absolutely remove that right out of the, that's my opinion. I don't know about the rest of the board or whatever, or how it comes down legally, but there's no reason to give anybody a variance for anything. You either follow the law or you don't, the way it's written. So, and then, once again, it's a rental in a registration restricted area. There's a problem with the signage. There should be no sign whatsoever outside. I can't think of anybody that lives in a home that would like to look to the left and see a 3x3 sign, two-sided, rental on this side, rental, no rental signs. If they want to do it, they have to do it through legal ads or however they do it. But I don't think we should allow signage in a residential area for any type of business. The notification, someone had brought up notifications by the town once an applicant is made to the contiguous properties. That's what they're talking about. Why should the town be responsible for that? Why should we have to spend money? If you come for a subdivision, I believe that the applicant has to notify all the contiguous properties. Is that correct?
Yep.
Sean? Yeah, so where does it come off that we have to do it? We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna spend the town's money. But anyway, you're making notes, Rory, I know.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
take notes, but also listen, so sometimes I put this down.
Yeah.
Because I'm just gonna
Yeah,
go back,
but
I'm gonna go back and rewatch it, so
Maybe it's information for you
Yeah.
to look at and say, you know,
Yeah.
this is legal, Phil, or board, this
I'd
is
rather
not
listen
legal.
because you have
Yeah.
the notes, so I'll either,
Well,
you
we're
know.
all handwritten, but.
All right,
I mean,
I'll read it back or watch it
They
back.
are, okay.
But on that note, while I have a second there, if you guys have extensive feedback, the earlier, I can't really do much right now.
Right.
I'm always hesitant. It's a lawyer cop-out. I don't want to respond. I want to punt, but it will slow down the process. So if I have the stuff earlier, I might be able to give valid feedback to it. I might not be able to, so for future reference.
Okay, so there is something in the code enforcement issue where it says a code enforcement officer or owner, and I'm looking for that piece. It's not,
For compliance,
Yeah.
or
application, no, it's notification.
I think let's set up like this.
Sure.
So, one thing that nobody really has mentioned is about a septic system, because most of these houses are on septic systems. When you get approved to build a house, it's on a certain number of bedrooms, and it's a certain size for that amount of people. If you're putting 12 people in a house continuously, your septic is bound to fail. And that's gonna happen over and over and over again.
That's what they advertise next to me, 12 people.
Yeah, so 12 people in a house,
Yeah.
52 weeks a year, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's gonna fail, and it's gonna cause a huge problem, it's gonna smell, and, you know, it's not right. They shouldn't have to be able to put that many people.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. No?
No, I can't find it out. it was just a small technical thing.
Just
It
what, there
said-
was 2 parties named for, that can accept notice or can be noticed?
You know, it said that instead of the owner having the responsibility, it said the town would have the
Oh,
responsibility.
that's, all right.
And I'll-
All right, when you
I'll
find
find
that-
it as we go on.
Okay,
I'll
thank
give you
you.
the number. Yeah, so, and, yeah, I think now we do have Bill's letter, Bill Troy's letter.
Yep, I've inquired, that's,
Incorporated.
You have
it's, yeah.
incorporated those.
I haven't made the changes in there. This is still the same draft because I wanted, while we had feedback, I wanted to make sure that we, you know, obviously it's an extensive thing. There's a lot of opinions and.
Yeah,
you
there
know,
are. Yeah, okay, good. I just
So,
wanna
yeah,
make sure
but
that
Bill's
we're
stuff
aware
is
of it.
noted and Bill's
Yeah.
been on it from Jump Street, so.
Good, okay.
So I have somewhat of a different opinion from the one I had when we started this. If there are municipalities that have zoned this out, I'd like to take the point of spending a little legal money, finding out if we're not gonna get sued, and then zone it out completely. When we started this, there was no zone, nobody.
No, again, that, I have to look into that. We
Yeah.
try to, you get very concerned, and Phil, you touched on it. It's like the thing that always sits out there is if we try to zone something out, are we gonna wind up, we're getting litigated for
But if
some
we
spot
have,
zoning?
we have
But
other municipalities that are gonna.
The reason this approach was taken, just
Yep.
to remind the group, and
Right.
maybe
I got you.
somewhat defending my work here,
No, no,
but
you
is,
think-
the
listen.
permit process was
Okay.
designed to
Or-
allow
You
the
did,
board to still have the ability to say no, even with all the laying it out. So
and you.
compliance issues are the main things. Even if we say no to it, we still gotta be able to enforce,
Right.
right?
Right,
So-
but if Joe and we agree, I mean, if you put it right in the front, where there are no rentals allowed,
Yep.
then the applicant can't come back to us and say, listen. no
That's a
one's-
much easier law to write.
No one.
Chris's law sounds like I make less money, but it's a lot easier.
Absolutely.
All right?
That's-
So I'm
and that's-
kinda
that
on
was
board
my
with this
first-
now that I did all of this.
That was my first note, is just rule them out,
But
and then if
real.
they wanna go to
I'm gonna
litigation.
have
let's see.
Brittany tomorrow
Yep.
contact the 4
Yep.
municipalities,
That's
get a
great.
copy of their law. If it's holding up, I think we should enact the same law, and just wipe it out.
Absolutely.
I take no stance on it.
The
I
other thing
just,
is, like, there's an Airbnb next to my house, who's gonna wanna buy it when I go to sell it?
Yeah, that's the point too.
Yeah.
Could I just bring this up too, and I appreciate all these great comments, is, okay, with zoning, what do we do, or what could we do with an Airbnb that's already there? The person bought the house probably to do that, and it's in a residential area, in my case, next to me. Is there a way to say, well, you know, you're gonna have a half a year to stop it, or, you know, sorry, that's the way
Well,
the
it's
cookie
not-
crumbles?
It's not zoned in, so.
It's not a permitted
It's not allowable under the zone.
So what do we do to enforce that, if they're, if
Exactly
they
what we
have?
said we're gonna do. Look at some of the other towns, and if they have passed laws, and the laws are holding up legally in
Oh,
our
okay.
area,
Ceased.
I see.
then we just zone it out. We don't have it.
And they would have to
okay,
stop
let
their
me again
Airbnb.
jump in. However, you get the ability to not have the Airbnb, people are still gonna do it.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
They're doing it, however, so my thought is, how do we stop it, is we gotta enforce it. We gotta identify it to enforce it. Okay? I know it sounds sort of counterintuitive, and I could be wrong, but it's like proving a negative. We gotta identify what isn't allowed, and then enforce someone's non-compliance with that. So it's somewhat, because right now I don't know how to enforce it.
Right.
Well, let's see what the laws that the other municipalities have passed. Maybe they've thought about that, and they have enforcement in that law.
That'd be great. We trust me, we
When we
scoured quite
started this process a year ago, there were nobody had enacted any
No, it was
laws.
one town in
No,
Orange
we-
County or 2 towns. and-
Yeah, we kept hearing Airbnb one here, Airbnb one
Yeah.
here, so we looked at this from the perspective, though, are we gonna throw money, legal money of the people from this town and use lawsuits? Now we have a precedent, we have towns that have passed it, so
Okay.
let's look at it.
I'm good with that.
And
Sorry,
even as
Phil.
far as the enforcement, it's just like breaking any other law. I mean, if they say none are allowed and they do it, whatever we do with.
Yeah, you
everything
just gotta
else, they're not
identify
allowed
what
to do.
none is.
Yeah,
right? And that's
right.
all. I mean, I'm with you.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then so be it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
I know it is,
I think,
I know that, yeah.
When the discussion started, I went on Verbo.com
shows you have 12 in the proper town of Goshen.
Yep.
And we have 115 in the surrounding areas, 2 miles from
Yeah,
Goshen
sure.
and 1.0. So there's an easy way to figure out how to enforce it.
That's not enforceability, that's identification, that's in here. I agree with you, I went through an exhaustive list of presumptions that it is a short-term rental. So, now we're talking about compliance. Honestly, if you take the permit process out of here, that is your law that you're talking about. The permit process is in the event that, the landscape changes, okay? And people eventually become, there's a process for it. There was also, in the event that we didn't get it a proper identification right, they still gotta come to you, right? So that way, if someone gets around something that I didn't write in, you still have the last line of defense, which is this dais. And this dais represents the people, so if the people's opinion changes, there's a permit process already in place. I know that this group, I don't need to take a hand vote, I can pretty much gather where they stand on it, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that's everybody, and that doesn't mean it's 10 years from now.
Then
So,
if anybody that was interested in having one should have been here.
I don't disagree, I'm just saying, those people probably aren't gonna wanna, they probably don't live here, with what we've identified, maybe that's why they're not here, so.
Melissa?
I just had a question. So I realize, I don't know if it's so black and white, in my opinion. I think about, how about somebody who has 45 acres, who has, two extra homes on their property that wants to rent it out for themselves? So I don't know if that would be a different
I think
situation.
that's.
No, like an Airbnb, like if there's somebody, let's say they have 45 acres and they have 2 separate properties, they want to build properties on their acreage. So it would be confined to their 45 acres, it wouldn't affect anyone else. Like, I'm just thinking, like, if there's like if you make it an acreage or a buffer zone, or
Sure, I mean,
there's
solar's like that, there's other
something
things
that,
in
again, I don't think
Doesn't get said.
necessarily it needs to be, I agree, I would not be happy if somebody had dirty diapers next to me as well, but also, I live in very close proximity to my neighbor. If you're talking about somebody who has 45 acres or 50 acres and they want to be able to build and, run their own quote-unquote business, maybe they could get a variance, maybe they could
They might fall
request,
into a
even
different
though-
scenario because they live there.
Correct.
So they may be more, probably be an,
It's
not
not,
an Airbnb.
it's not a bed and breakfast either, that's the other
or
point.
perhaps they could do some sort of an application to the board to see if they would,
It may not
to
be
say
in
that-
the RU district either.
Right, right.
May not be.
You're not gonna get it
Right.
perfect, I mean, there's people who can rent their properties for X amount of months, and they can have 12 people in there, we don't have a process checking that necessarily,
Yep.
right? And that's the same concern, so I'll look into that stuff with Karina.
Yep.
I'm not cutting people off, I'm sure there's other comments, I'm understanding of it.
I want to give Doug a chance to talk.
Well, a year ago, when we were bringing this up, we checked out the state of New York, and there was really opposition to not allowing it to happen.
I respectfully, I don't
know
think that's
what's
across the
changed
board.
between then and now, but if there are people, if there are communities who've stopped it somehow, I think we need to understand how did they get there from here.
I'm with you, I agree wholeheartedly.
So that's the only thing now, for example, I owned a duplex house in Whitesville Beach, North Carolina, in a residential area. They allowed it because that was tradition in that particular part of the country based on the seashore and whatnot. This is different. The people who own this house that we're talking about, I used to go there every Friday night and watch TV with them. Okay? He's a classmate of mine. He sold his house and moved to Connecticut. He had no idea who he was selling it to, and they would turn out the way it is. So this is unique, and there are some sharpshooters out there who are doing this, and they're pressing the issue with us.
Well, we're really only talking about short-term rentals. If someone wants to lease a house for a year or something like that.
No.
I'm just saying, for the audience,
Yeah.
I think we have to look at something like that, a leasing law also, if someone brought it up to me. I don't know if you're allowed to, but these are short-term rentals, and it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
All right, Neil?
It's really fair. Rick, I absolutely agree with you about the septic system being an issue because they're gonna blow these out. 12 people, there is no house in Goshen designed with
Yeah.
a septic system for 12 people.
Yeah.
It's gonna destroy everyone, and I understand from Frank that was one of the issues on one of the properties that was doing that. Number one. Number two is, the property maintenance code of New York State
Plus
does
the
have.
water usage.
Yeah.
Yeah, water, yeah. the property maintenance code of New York State does address how many people are allowed in each bedroom. It's based on size and the number of people, so that also would work. And the only problem with restricting it to the size of the septic system is that the poor people who live in the parts of town where they're on municipal sewer are not gonna be helped out by that.
Yep.
And, you know, you can have 16 people in there and they can flush all day and it's never gonna make an impact
Right, yeah.
on that part of it. It's gonna make all kinds of impacts on them otherwise, but, okay, thank you.
Thanks, though.
I just like one thing noted, if you can't squash this, and you have to go back to the property owner has to be there, it should be the legal property owner, not a representative, not a superintendent host. It should be the legal owners of the house have to be in
And they play
residence.
games of who's the real owner or not, so that would.
Then they can't rent if you can't
Yeah.
provide them that kind of thing.
Would it be possible to, on the computers or et cetera, spreadsheets, anyone who gets a license, if they're permitted, and I love to have them just not allowed at all, but if that happened and they had to be on the premises when the people are there, what about to keep a check on that? You know, they check off something that, I certify that we had less than 12 people, I cert this and that, and if they don't, and you could find that out,
You're assuming
could
that
be
he's not gonna
big-
lie on that application.
That's true, and that's where the neighbors come in.
It's a federal application.
They say, keep your eyes open for the general public, if you see
Understood.
something
Yeah,
crappy,
sure.
it might.
Well, let's take the steps moving forward to see if we can abolish it completely.
Yeah.
You have other municipalities that have enacted a law
They've done
not
it.
allowing it to be in their township. Let's start that way and then we can circle back. We're gonna keep the public hearing open. Circle back and we'll determine if we can't do it for legal reasons, we'll find the strictest law that we can. All right, anybody else? All right, so
We just gonna keep
You're gonna make a motion
I gotta
to
make a
adjourn,
motion.
adjourn the public hearing to the second.
Well, yeah, but I'm gonna make a motion first to classify this as a type 1 action
Thank you.
and declare the intent of the town board to be lead agency. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second?
need a roll call?
No.
No?
Okay, Dr. Winfield,
Yeah.
Yes.
Rick Flora,
Aye.
Supervisor Petra.
Aye.
Come on.
Supervisor
Aye.
George.
We all day long. This is what I get when they come into the town hall. No respect.
Did he say aye?
I did. You didn't call my name, but.
Again, just to reiterate, we're gonna keep the public hearing open until January 23rd, 2024.
I need a motion for that.
Do I have a motion to keep the public hearing open until January 23rd?
Second.
All in favor? Roll call?
No, I'm not doing that again.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Item number 2 is the continuation of the public hearing in the matter of establishment of the Town of Goshen Ambulance District in the Town of Goshen, County of Orange, State of New York. Anybody would like to speak on behalf of the ambulance district?
Bob Smith, Goshen. When the, I'm gonna say the recording, the financial secretary of the ambulance was here, Mr. Dykshaw.
Ed?
Yeah. He said, I think I heard him say that the 400,000 that was gonna come from the tax district would just close the gap.
Correct.
Until then. My question is, does that account for when we go to paramedics and everything else? Is that included, or is this just, right now, we're gonna have 400,000 in the tax district, the continuing operating the way we are, but just break even? So I think that has to be answered somehow. Do you understand?
I'll check it in for you, Bob, but I'm almost positive it's for us going to ALS. That's the
Oh,
additional
okay.
cost.
All right, it sounded to me like it was just closing the gap.
No, I'll check that
My
out.
understanding was
Yeah.
ALS.
And the additional cost, they'll be able to charge a lot higher rate for the ALS. And they'll be able to bill directly rather than another firm coming in, the ambulance firm, another second billing and maybe not collect On these, you will have a direct billing, so it'll increase the income substantially. There's no doubt.
The other thing is, a couple of weeks ago in the Chronicle, I saw that Chester is trying to go to the same thing, and they sound like they're maybe a couple of months ahead of us.
Chester's a different scenario because they don't have an ambulance group, so they have to foot the bill for everything.
Oh, okay.
So their cost is gonna be 1.2 million to the budget.
Right, and one guy even estimated 1.5.
And they're gonna hire Empress. They're gonna opt into Goshen EMS for the properties that are in Whispering Hills, but they are gonna go with Empress and they pay.
Because according to this paper was a couple of weeks ago, they were doing it themselves.
They're subbing it out.
I think doing Whispering Hills themselves or doing?
No, doing their own ambulance
Okay,
district.
because I think the long-term plan is that they take Whispering Hills back into their district,
Correct.
but they gotta establish that first. They're gonna be included in ours, and
Correct.
then maybe we can work something out, because it'll be quicker response time to come in from Chester.
Yeah, I know they talked about Empress in this article, but it sounded to me like they were doing it.
They're not forming their own, they're not buying their own ambulances. Way Yonder is doing that, but the town of Chester, in my conversations with the supervisor there, they're gonna allocate what the cost is. They got a bid from Empress to cover the town, and they're gonna cover that cost from the taxpayers.
Oh, so they just have the tax district so they can
Tax
pay.
district, correct, to pay the bill.
All right, good.
So, I'm not too familiar with that, but how about the revenue that's received from the insurance companies? Is that gonna offset it? Or are they talking about a straight 1.5
Yes.
million?
From the district.
Subsidy?
Yep,
That's crazy.
that's what
Right.
Montgomery's gonna be this year, 1.2.
Wow.
What's your point, Phil?
Yeah, the point you're making is what's ours gonna be in 2 or 3 years, my concern also.
Yeah. Okay.
Chris?
Chris Healy, Town of Goshen. I've already spoken twice in favor of this project. We've spoken before about the importance of having an advanced life-saving medical service in place to save lives. There's something else that I'd like to say tonight, and it's about the intangibles. They say Disney World is the happiest place on earth. They never tell you why. It's because everybody smiles, and everybody says hello, and you never see garbage anywhere. It's that thing you can't quite put your finger on, but man, it's happy to be there. Fire, police, EMS, parks, a library. These are the things that give a town life. You can't put your finger on it, but there's a reason you want to live in that town. There's a reason that town is good. There's a reason the property values stay high in that town. There's a cost to living in a town this great. And having dependable, rapid ambulance service is of utmost importance to everyone in our community. Nobody's getting any younger. GOVAC is a fantastic organization. We need more. I'm not exactly sure how to pay for it, but I'm all for it. It helps everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sorry to go back to the short-term rentals.
George, I can't go back to short-term rental, I closed it already.
Oh, you did?
I moved on, yep.
Sorry.
But you can put it in writing to us.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll do that.
Anything else on the ambulance district? No, okay. So I need a motion to keep it open to the next meeting, January 9th.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Are you doing that on
Councilman
purpose now?
Cantorino.
Aye.
Councilman Florio.
Aye.
Councilman Bloomfield.
Aye.
Supervisor Petra.
Aye.
You got a religion.
Okay, first item on the agenda for discussion, we have a resident whose mom lives in Hamiltonian Park.
Arcadia
Hills.
Evergreen.
She was away for the winter, pipe burst, they came back home, they got about 3.5 feet of water in their basement.
No, in their living room and in their bathroom upstairs, it was like 3 pipes burst in the house.
So they have already gone ahead and paid their $5,000 water bill. They've asked us to waive the $8,952 sewer bill since the water never went into the sewer, and unfortunately that's the way we bill. So he put a request in writing to us to see if we could waive that $8,952 from his mom. Any discussion?
Joe, if I can kind of share what we've done in the past.
Mhm.
For example, people would have a hose outside their house, forget it's out there, and then it freezes, and then it thaws, and they're losing water. As long as that water did not go down into the sewer process, we let it go.
That's what he's asking.
And so that, I think this is consistent with what he's asking.
Yep.
He paid for the water.
Yeah, that was.
Big deal.
He did pay for
We
the
had to
water,
create
his
that.
insurance company denied the claim, so he paid it out of his pocket for his bond.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
that
me neither.
at all.
So I need a motion.
Can I have a motion to, remove the $8,952.74 from Michael Warren's bill?
I remove that, we'll waive the bill.
Second.
All in favor?
Anybody else?
Aye.
Aye.
And that, again, that's consistent with
Oh,
what
yeah,
we
that's
did.
all,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've done it in the past.
And by the way.
Sewer won't
for-
charge us, so, I mean, what, the village won't charge us.
Correct, but it's the only way we get charged, so everybody
Yeah.
understands, we don't
Yeah.
have meters on the sewer system, so
Right.
whatever you use in water, we assume that it's going down the drain.
Sewer, so, as long as we're not.
I
getting
think what we ought to
charged.
do too is the town, we send out our bills quarterly. Before cold weather comes, we ought to put a little love note in there saying, hey, check, don't leave your house without being checked on periodically. Don't, make sure you check that you don't have hoses outside, things where these things can occur, because they do occur.
Well, remember, we went one step further. We put cellular lines in everybody's house, so Karina watches every morning when somebody's over usage.
Right.
So we'll know if somebody's
The
went from
homeowner
10
has
gallons
it,
to,
yeah.
So how did this one happen?
they didn't have their meter before, they didn't have the new meter in before they left.
Okay.
So he rushed to get that meter in as soon as he got home.
Okay.
Good.
Great, thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, review and approve the draft resolution of conditional approval special permit for SR 94 solar project Lightstar, and I believe somebody from Lightstar is here.
Just an update, the draft that the dais received, there was one additional item, because the 239 came back from the county, which in almost, if it wasn't verbatim, it was of the same focus as the planning board's 239. So it's incorporated into the latest draft, citing the date, requested date responded to, and the major items that are discussed, okay? So it'll be an exhibit or an addendum to the resolution.
Before you start, Sean, you want to speak to it at all on behalf of the planning board?
Sure. So this application, you recall that you had a joint public hearing with the planning board. After that was closed, I believe in June, the planning board continued with their site plan review. Site plan was conditionally approved at their November 7th meeting. So I think this board has traditionally tried to do the special permit after the planning board. They have signed, they've issued conditional site plan approval. And I think the next step for the applicant is for your approval of the special permit.
That's correct.
Thanks.
Any board members have anything from the applicant that you'd like to speak about?
No?
I do have an item in the information we got. It's page 9, item C at the top. It says restored, this is for the, when you're shutting it down and decommissioning.
Right.
Restore the land to the condition which existed before construction. That's wonderful. Including an adequate layer of topsoil where existing topsoil has been removed or eroded. I would like to add the words or, has been contaminated.
Or has been contaminated?
Or has been contaminated. And the only reason why I say that, we've asked the question many times with these solar panels. Do they contaminate the soil over 20 or 30 years with the rain hitting them? And the answer's always been no. Well, in 30 years hence, we might find out, oh dear, it did.
Yeah.
So that's why I want that in there.
Good point.
We can add the language, but
Okay,
it's
great.
definitely not a concern, but we're happy to add that language.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, that's good.
All right, well, that was easy.
And I'm kind of glad to see you come, and it's solar power or something, it's gonna be.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve the draft resolution, additional approval special permit for SR 94 LLC, solar project Lightstar, with the condition of adding that sentence?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Bloomfield,
Aye.
Councilmember Florio,
Aye.
Councilmember Cantorino,
Aye.
Supervisor Petra,
Aye.
Paul.
Very good, thank you.
You know, one other thing, a project like this is a lot of work by a lot of different people, and I thank you for your staying right with it. It's not easy.
Absolutely, yeah, we own and operate Independence Day here, so we're with you, kind of good. Thank you.
Maybe back from school next week or?
Next item on the agenda, review a memo from budget officer requesting the purchase of a police vehicle and a utility task vehicle for the police department. Chief Post has requested, I'm not gonna read it in detail, but he put together a summary of what he's looking for. It's essentially all money that we've allocated to the police department, with the exception of, actually, it's all money we've allocated to the police department, inclusive of a $9,700 claim on an accident that was left over after we purchased a new vehicle. Anyone have any questions on it?
We'll go on the state bid, or?
These are all state bids.
Okay.
I do have a question about the
Sure.
all-terrain vehicle or whatever. What's he going to use that for?
We have over 6.5 miles of the Heritage Trail that we have to patrol.
You know, I walk that trail 3 to 7 miles a day. You don't need one. Now, here's why I'm telling you.
Okay.
You open the gate, the police have it, and you can get on there with your car or ambulance or anything else, you go down to where you need to go.
But you can't patrol it with a car. The county won't allow it.
The county patrolled and they stopped patrolling.
Yes, the county won't allow patrolling with a car.
But I mean,
County's on bicycles, they run it, they.
no. You go out there today, I walk it every day. I see every day. And I'm sharing with you, it's a rarity that I see someone in the county or any other municipality where I walk. And so, only reason why I say this is a lot of money, and once you start doing it, and then you gotta have somebody on the machine to do the, it gets out of control. The next thing you know, your police budget's really up there. We talked about this 6 or 7 years ago, and we said, no, not now. So anyway, this is just kind of, got a new chief, new everything, and
Well, I do want to reiterate that this money has been allocated from ARPA, and I need to use it by December 31st. I'll give it back to the federal government.
can we give it to the highway department fund?
We did, we gave $200,000 to the highway
Give
department.
them another 29,000. Aren't we putting up a new guardrail somewhere, I heard today? Maybe, I'm just saying that we've talked about this in years past, and there's really no justification because, from my perspective, because I'm out there to see what happens. If somebody has a heart attack or falls down, breaks a hip, this machine's not going to help them. What's going to help them is an ambulance, which you open the gate and you drive down, you put it in, and take them to the hospital. And it's, anyway, I'm just sharing what I see every day. I'm a type 2 diabetic from Agent Orange in Vietnam, and my doctor says, I'm gonna put you on medicine unless you walk 3 to 7 miles a day, which is what I do. And I've done this for like 4 years, 5 years. I've never seen an incident on the trail. Okay.
Doug, when I said that, it's not just for usage on the trail. We have a lot of events that are going on in the town. We have a lot of events that we have applications for that come into the town. This is a multi-purpose vehicle that the police use off-terrain.
All right, well, that's fine.
Right.
I thought it might be strictly.
No, it's not strictly for that, no.
Okay, very good. Okey-dokey.
Phil, anything? Rick, anything?
Nope.
All right, so could I have a motion?
But I am as tight as a bark on a tree, and I'm sharing that $29,000 would go really nice for something else, Okay, go ahead.
All right, so can I have a motion to approve the budget officer's request?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Hold on, I'll check, sorry. Rick? Sorry, who's second?
So,
I did. I spoke up, Mary.
Can I get a roll call, please?
No. Councilmember Bloomfield?
Reluctantly, aye.
Councilmember Florio?
Aye.
Councilmember Cantorino?
Aye.
Supervisor Petra?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, next item on the agenda, schedule a reorganization meeting for January 2nd, 2025 at 7 PM. Can I have a motion to, It's mandatory, so you get not to say anything on it, so.
So
Do I have
moved.
a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Review and approve the schedule for the 2025 town board meetings. First and, second and fourth?
Second and fourth, yeah. And except for December, because the fourth is Christmas, we switched it up a little bit.
Yep, okay.
The Monday night.
All right, so can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Review and approve the town board minutes of November 14th, 2024. Any questions on them? Can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Review and approve the town board minutes of November 20th. Any questions?
No.
No?
Can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Finance, discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay accounts payable check run for December 12th, 2024 in the amount of $1,380,738.10. That's inclusive of all retirement for the entire town. That's why it's so large. Got that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay a manual AP run as of October 31st in the amount of $339,621.51.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay a manual AP run as of November 30th, 2024. I don't have the dollar amount. Do we know what it is?
Oh, I'm sorry. Rick, you have mine.
It doesn't have it.
No, it's towards the back in finance. You have it, Joe, at the end of
I
finance.
don't have it on my iPad. It's blank, Mary.
No, I need my packet back,
Yeah.
Rick, I'm sorry, the whole thing.
Whoa.
It's $20,416.33.
Yeah, there it is.
You have that motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a budget transfer as of 12/6/2024.
Need a motion on it?
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Christine has a monthly financial report attached as of 11:30. Looked at it and seen any issues. Any questions from anybody?
No?
And information, budget officer Cavallari submitted an AP review 11/14/2024. That is also attached. All right,
Okay.
that ends the meeting. Privilege of the floor. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just need you to state your name, I'm sorry.
Sure, Frank Marsiglio, Smith Road, Town of Goshen, New York. I'd like to discuss, if possible, a letter I wrote the supervisor and the board on September 26th about the traffic conditions in my part of town. I never got an acknowledgement on the letter. Do you happen to recall it?
I do, yeah, yeah. We've been working on it. It's pretty much almost resolved. The police department is looking at it, and Robert Knoll Highway Department is looking at it. You asked for some speed changes and some other things.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I can
Those are all state mandated changes that have to be made, so we have requested to the state. We agree with you, and we put the request into the state.
Because I never got an acknowledgement that you
Oh,
got.
I apologize. You should have gotten an acknowledgement saying that we are looking at it. Unfortunately, we're bound by the state of New York to request from them anytime we change the speed limits. But I can tell you that the police department is out there spot checking.
I never see them.
You're not supposed to see, you're not
I'm home all
supposed
the
to,
time.
you're
I
not
never
supposed
see
to see them, but they are out there.
Oh, okay. You know what? What I got from them was, oh, there's no place to park. So
I know what you got from them, and
You do?
I drove out there and I gave them 5 places to park.
And then they also told me that, oh, we got a grant for some of these electronic
Correct.
signs,
Yep.
right? Now I hear, but there's no place to put it on Smith Road because they need a pole. Well, don't we have a DPW?
Yes, we do have a DPW, and I've already requested from the highway superintendent to get a pole in there to remove it from one of the other locations and put it out there.
Terrific.
I apologize, it should have gotten back to you, but we didn't ignore you.
I see finally somebody put some stop signs up on the busiest intersection on Phillipsburg Road, that's
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
You know?
I kind of like to add what you're doing. I went to the police department today, and I've been down there 2 or 3 times. On Houston Road, very much like your road, we lowered the speed limit from 40 or 45 to 35, and we went unlimited on, we went down to 5 tons. So this morning I'm going to the landfill, I go down, and this big truck from New Jersey plates on it, and I'm doing the speed limit, and he gets right up on my tail, and then I get on Jason Road, and then we go down Gate School Road, he does the same thing. And so I went to the police department and said, you know, we have to do this, we have to have that, at least, because this is when the school buses are out there, that road, and we put 4 new subdivisions there. I'm concerned for the safety of the families and the children and the buses. So they're working on it, and they said, yep, we're gonna put together, put a couple of guys out there, maybe from 7 in the morning till 9 in the morning, or this or that. And I think once they start giving tickets for that, people are gonna get the message. I think all these trucks, they go in their
Shortcuts.
Pardon?
They cut
shortcuts.
Yeah, it's a shortcut.
No, no,
17
what's the thing on your TV?
Waze, the app, the
Waze.
GPS app.
Not
Oh,
GPS,
yeah.
it's
Waze.
another Waze,
Yep.
thank you. The shortest way, and that's what they're doing. And so it's not, but I'm glad you're talking about it. The best thing I would say to do is maybe once in a while or a month or two, if you see the wrong thing, nothing happening, go down and talk to the chief. They'll listen to you. And they're the ones who can make the change happen.
Well, you know what, Doug, it's a little discouraging when a couple of officers come out there and they tell you is, well, you know, we cover 44 square miles, we just don't have the time to, you know, spend here. And you know what? I understand that to a degree.
I don't.
Because, well, to a degree, because like most of the town's roads in this town, most people more or less obey the speed limit, right? So they're not gonna spend all day in one location. I understand that. But, you know, if you know Smith Road.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of the houses are all the way at the end by Phillipsburg Road.
Right.
The rest of it, I mean, it's a half-mile road. The rest of it is a drag strip,
Yeah.
right through the old Reese Farm property.
Yep.
Yep.
And they come out, and between getting over to 17M, going east and west, getting over to the hospital, getting on the Quickway entrance, coming over from Hamptonburg,
Yep.
going back and forth. Can't control the amount of traffic, but, you know, all I was asking for is some enforcement.
Sure.
And you'll get it, and I will have a conversation again tomorrow with the chief. I'd like to know what officers said that they don't have time, because they have nothing but time. Everybody just.
I called
Our
them
goal
twice.
is, what's that?
I called them twice. The second time, the officer actually spent 15 minutes in my driveway watching. I gave him a description of one particular car that comes ripping through there all the time. You know, but again, unless they do it while they're there,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to enforce, I understand that, and I do wanna make you aware of the fact that we've put in requested other locations for reductions in speed limits and been denied by the state. It's very, very difficult to change the speed limits, even though it's our town and they have no jurisdiction.
don't they do isn't there a little wire for a traffic study too, you put across for a car count? They do that, right? I don't know how that gets requested, but.
That would be us, cause it's a town road. But it still doesn't guarantee us the ability to lower the speed limit. It's very, very, very difficult for us to go from 30 to 25 or 35 to 30. Almost impossible, I would say. We've tried.
Doesn't make sense, but.
No.
New York State doesn't make sense overall, correct. I agree with you. Maybe more and more people that write to the DOT, maybe they'll get it, but we've tried. Broderick Knoll, the highway superintendent, puts requests in all the time. We did it in Heritage, you know, we get denied.
There's a real complicated formula for how they determine the speed limit on the road. We tried it on Craigville Road, and what happens is, It's not the speed limit that people go or they catch them. They take an average of the amount of speed that the cars are doing. And then they back into the speed limit to accommodate what the cars are doing generally. I mean, that's a real simplification of what they do. It's crazy, makes no sense whatsoever. However, that's why you don't get many reductions in this thing.
We're looking at our master plan for the town of Goshen, and Phil's chairing that. And one of the things we've been talking about is traffic, and I'm doing a traffic study. And the reason being is we have built lots of subdivisions and have more school buses, et cetera, and passengers and whatever. And for the safety of the public, to include the children, and if people are speeding through things or the wrong kind of vehicles, we're going to be looking at this. We're going to have a professional engineer look at this and do the study, and we'll pay for that. And then I think we have that kind of information, and we can maybe influence the people in Albany or wherever it is.
And you know, and I mentioned in a letter too, I'm sure you're well aware of this, that the weekend warriors come up the Quickway, they bottleneck in Goshen, where they go. They get off Fletcher, they go around, they go up Phillipsburg Road, they cut over to the hospital, and
yeah,
we're aware of it.
And on the way back, you can't get to
and that's
Chester
ways.
or whatever.
You're looking at their ways, how can I get around this?
Right.
The other morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, when that dump truck hit the top of the bridge,
Yep.
you couldn't move in Goshen. There were cars all over the place, and Waze was
Yeah.
taking them in and out. Down by Burke, all the way around. I'm driving through here saying, where are all these people coming from?
Yeah.
But that's.
And then you factor in TETs, and you know, sure, there's a weight limit on the road, but
There is.
unless somebody's enforcing it.
We enforce it. There's quite a few fines that our police officers
They
get.
go out with the scales and they're right.
On average, 20 every time they go out. On average, 20 overweights when they go out, 10 to 12 taking trucks out of service for different things. So we are on top of that.
Yeah.
And I wish I had more for you on, I do have a plan, and I'm not gonna say what the plan is right now, but I will share it with you personally, but I do have a plan for enforcement there. I have an idea. I wanna talk to the chief first, see if it's possible, and then I'll share it with you.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, just keep talking it up, because I think you might save lives, you might save, I mean, that's how.
Well, you know what, my neighbors, you got families, kids, you go out there, walk the dog, whatever.
Right.
There's,
Yeah.
you know, if you're coming from Hamptonburg Walkill on Boyd Road, as soon as that's where you enter Goshen.
Yep.
There's a speed limit sign.
Yeah.
Then you got a straightaway,
Yeah.
drag strip, and then you hit the houses, and there's no sign saying anything before you hit those houses. Not that these people are gonna listen, but maybe they need a reminder, I don't know.
Yeah, I see it myself when I hit those signs coming down Arcadia Road. You don't realize that you're going
Right.
55 miles an hour, because these new cars today feel like you're standing still at 55
Yeah.
miles an hour.
Right.
And I see it, and immediately I'm hitting the brake too. So it's the indication that it's out there. People do slow down for that.
Thank you. On a personal note, Doug, I want to wish you happy retirement, and thank you for all the years of your service.
Thank you very much. Is hell getting old?
Would anybody else like to speak? No?
Yeah.
Just up, Neil?
No.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, Neil.
There's
No,
nothing
no,
that says
I'm
you
not.
have to.
This is positive.
Oh, all right, go on, go on. Screw the 5 minutes.
I don't always agree with everything you do, and I don't expect you to do everything just for me. But in all honesty, what I really want to do is thank you very much for the work you do put into running the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I feel silly now.
It's a good thing you let him speak.
I mean, I never know. I can't put it back in once he says it, so.
Yeah, we were gonna-
Now,
like-
he's just warming us up for
Yeah.
something.
I'm gonna raise my hand again.
Close the meeting, hurry up.
Again, tonight is Doug's last night as a municipal leader in this town. I think he's done a phenomenal job over 20 years. I wish him nothing but happiness in his retirement and spending time with his family. And thank you for your service.
You're quite well.
Also, for anybody that doesn't know them, Doug's replacement is Melissa Gallo. She's sitting right there in the second row.
She served on our board in the past, and she did a very nice job,
Yeah.
in particular when we were trying to bring Legoland.
Close enough.
to town.
All right, with that being said, can I have a motion to close the December 12th meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.